Hope is alive. This show deals with setbacks, tragedies, calamities, and just plain adversities that people have to face and get ready for a heaping serving of inspiration. My name is Eve Moffat, and I'm host of Hope is Alive, and I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Kate Gibbs. Hi, Kate.
Hi, delightful to be here.
Our guest today is Valerie Matkovich, and she is going to tell us what her life was like. I understand that drugs and alcohol addiction led you to prison.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Can you tell us what your life was like before?
You know, it started out early in life. I was abandoned by my parents, my 5 brothers and I, and I had a grandmother and a grandfather who took guardianship of us.
In what part of the country was this?
Iowa.
Iowa, so you were raised in the Midwest.
Yes.
By a grandmother.
Yes.
Farm?
And a grandfather. No.
No?
No, we lived in a little suburb outside of a city, Davenport, Iowa. And
Are you the youngest?
no, I have a younger brother. We were all 6 of us, and we were all just a year apart.
Oh my gosh.
But I had twin brothers that are a year older than me, so
Yeah.
we had 2 at once.
Yeah.
So you were surrounded by
All boys.
all boys.
And when my
Oh, boy.
grandmother took us 6 kids, her 2 youngest sons, my dad's brothers, were only 5 and 8. So I was actually raised with them as brothers.
Oh my.
Oh, wow.
So you know the male psyche.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So
You
you
were-
know,
I was the
when you
only
say
girl.
when you say you were abandoned by your mother, she just left?
Yes, to my knowledge, or the way it appeared to me, is her and my father both just split. And my father went to Colorado, and my mother went to Wisconsin and remarried a man there. And
were they involved in drugs or alcohol?
alcohol, yes.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were both alcoholic drinkers and fought. My grandmother said that they would fight, get back together, have a child, and
Oh,
And-
okay.
okay.
you know, they just did that for
Mhm.
till they had all 6 of us. And
Yeah.
the courts were going to actually take us kids for, you know, what was going on in the.
Yeah.
And my grandmother fought tooth and nail to keep all 6 of us, because they were going to adopt us all out to
Yes.
different families.
So then you moved into a pretty healthy atmosphere with your grandmother?
No.
No. Tell us about it.
No.
No. Well, that was a lot of kids. That was 8 children, and my grandparents were, I want to say, you know, coming into their 50s,
Oh my.
Oh,
you know, late 40s, I would say. My grandfather retired I can remember at a young age when he retired, and my grandmother worked at a motel. And I was raised by a sick grandfather as a girl, you know, and he was very angry and very,
Was he abusive?
verbally and sexually with me.
oh,
So,
oh.
So
wow, you had
it
a
was-
lot of early adversities.
Yes.
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 And it closed me down.
I hope to imagine.
I just look back on it, I always felt different from everyone else.
Yes.
I always felt that I didn't belong here. That my mother couldn't love me or didn't love me, and here I was, you know, in a house full of men, and my grandmother was busy and probably going through menopause, and I just remember her being a wreck a lot of the times with so much work to do and so many kids to feed, and there was never. And then, you know, we had, as them being guardians, you know, when the trouble came, because I had trouble in school, I couldn't do school.
Why couldn't you do school?
I just wasn't present.
Okay.
You numbed out.
I just wasn't present. You
Yeah.
know, I was over here busy with just not paying attention.
Yeah.
When did the alcohol or drug? When did that get introduced into your life?
Very young, probably 11, 12 years old.
Through school?
In the sixth grade, I first started drugs.
You first started drugs.
And I started smoking pot, and I remember doing some what they call speed, little white
Yes.
crosses.
Yes.
And probably earlier than that, I had drank, because I remember babysitting with a stepsister, and I remember her and I finding a bottle of cold duck, and her and I drinking it, and about catching we were making popcorn, and you know how you put grease in a pan and it starts on fire?
Yeah.
If you leave it on, and this pan just started on fire, and I remember how scared, but how I knew somehow what to do and how to get it out, and that's kind of how I look back on life now. I know that I had this God that took care, gave me that intuitive knowing how to handle situations that.
When you come to the edge, he'd pull you back?
Yeah, or just gave me
He
that.
rescued. Yes.
Gave me that. I just look back on it and I see all these incidents that I somehow knew how to handle things that other people didn't. My age,
Yes.
young girls didn't know how to handle.
Yeah.
So you went through school in that environment, or did you finish school?
I did not.
Uh,
I ran away from the time I was 12
You
to
run away.
older men, to my older siblings had girlfriends,
Yes.
and they started having children, and so they had their own apartments, and I would run away to, well, mostly my one girlfriend Lenny's, and she would allow me to babysit and wash dishes and hide me out
Yeah.
from my grandmother.
Did they know that you were being sexually abused?
No, I never told anyone.
Okay.
There was a climate back in that age.
Yeah.
You were ashamed that you
Yeah.
had been abused.
Yes.
Somehow it was put onto you.
I think more my fear is that I didn't ever want to hurt my grandmother.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was so afraid that if I ever once told her, that I
think-
would lose her.
Yeah.
I think that's implied by the abuser. You know, you're going to hurt other people. I've
I don't
heard
think
other
he
women
ever
say
ever
that.
told me anything about not telling. I don't ever remember I never had intercourse. It was the touching and the kiss, wanting me to kiss him
Yeah.
and sneaking up to my room at night and fondling me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
At what age did you start with men? Boys.
You see, I can't even remember because it started in the home with my uncle and my brother, and so I went blank. But I know from a very young age,
Yeah.
younger than I ever want to think of young girls.
Did
Yes.
you ever marry?
Yes,
Did you?
yes.
What age did you marry?
19.
Oh, at 19. And you have a smile on your face. Was that a good thing?
Yes and no. I mean,
That's marriage. You know?
yes and no. You know, if I could go back and do it all over again, I'd have fought tooth and nail to have saved my marriage.
Oh, really?
Really?
Hmm.
Just because if it hadn't have been for drugs and alcohol, I believe my husband and I were soulmates.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And he was not into either of that? Or
Oh,
any of
no,
it?
he was too.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
too.
He was too.
Wow.
But he was a different type of drinker than I. I couldn't drink in the home. I would have one beer and want to pass out. And he was a home drinker. He would go to work every day. He had an excellent job at Alcoa. He made really good money. We had the little white house with the white picket fence and two beautiful little boys
Wow.
that we both loved dearly. And
What happened?
I was a bar drinker
Oh.
and a blackout drinker.
A blackout drinker, yeah.
And
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. You're going to have to tell
A
me.
blackout drinker is I would just be out in the bar and black out of what I was doing.
You mean pass out? Fall
No,
down?
no. I would be very, very alive and
You continue on with life, but you're unconscious. You're unconscious of what you're doing.
well, in drinking, you know, I don't
Yeah.
believe I ever blacked out doing drugs.
Yeah.
Or I don't believe I ever blacked out, without alcohol.
You mean
Yeah.
you don't recall what you did?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right. So
I would go out drinking, and before I knew it, it'd be 4:00 in the morning, and I'd be at somebody else's house. I didn't know how I got there.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It was very insane and crazy, and my husband was my enabler, I believe,
Yeah.
because a person that allows a person to do what I did in that marriage, to not come home all night, to wreck vehicles, to leave 2 little boys with, a babysitter when I'd say I'd be home at a certain time and not show up.
Yeah.
And he would take me, we would fight badly.
Physically?
Physically.
Yeah.
Oh, physically.
So how long did that marriage last?
12 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 years of a lot of insane.
This reminds me of that movie that Jack Lemmon did, Days of Wine and Roses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sort of this, I'm getting this scene here.
Yeah.
My friend relates that. He always says that was mine and Dave's relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, so that gives a
Yeah.
big insight here. Okay.
I came to one morning and had destroyed a bathroom we had just remodeled, and the fight had happened again, and that was a turning point for me
Really?
in my life. And I remember getting my sons off to school that morning and wanting to go down and drive into the Mississippi River. And God had intervened in my life and put a person in my life that had told me about AA and had told me about treatment. And my car just drove to this hospital.
Huh.
And
How old were your boys now? At this, when you flipped.
my youngest son was 4. And so my
Yeah.
oldest son would have been 8 because they're 4 years apart.
Okay, so then you were suicidal, and you.
I was.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it anymore. So I found recovery for my alcoholism and drug addiction and thought it was going to save my marriage, and it didn't work for me.
What, it didn't save your marriage, or the recovery program did not work for you?
I didn't work the program, and
Okay.
I fell back into, and then another fight, and I walked away. I walked away from my husband and my kids, and I found myself moving to Arizona because my grandmother lived here now.
Oh.
Where was your grandfather? Had he passed?
He passed away.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a healthier climate for you to go into?
Well, yes and no. My oldest brother lived with my grandmother. Then he became my drinking and drugging partner.
Oh.
We drank and drugged
So
Oh,
you
yeah.
were
together.
back in the soup again,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
So-
I'm curious about something. When you went into the hospital for recovery, how long did you stay sober?
About 6 months.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 6 months. But
Yeah.
then when I fell hard.
Yeah.
Was there a precipitating incident that made you fall? Was there something that happened that upset you, or was it?
No, I don't think I ever needed. I just didn't know how to live.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
without
did.
it.
I just didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to cope, and I had so much shame and guilt in my marriage from what I had done and things I had done, and his family all lived around me, and so I was just so full of shame and guilt that I ran back to drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let go of the shame and the guilt. And
There were constant reminders.
right.
Yeah.
And I think too, when I look back on it today, I think I had to walk every mile in my mother's, as that prayer goes, that I couldn't forgive my mother, and I ended up doing the same thing as my mother did. I abandoned my children,
Oh my word!
and
The
I
wheel
had to
turns.
walk in
Oh.
all her footsteps in order to forgive her.
Oh wow!
No.
And today I forgive her,
You always
so
good.
that I know that my children will someday forgive me.
Oh,
Oh.
surely.
you-
Like hope is
yeah.
alive.
Hope is alive.
Yeah.
Hope is alive.
Yeah.
So you came to Arizona,
Yeah.
I did.
and
I fell in love here. Well, I don't know if you call it love. I met a man here who, I found a drinking partner.
That's
I
what it
found a
was.
drinking partner.
Mm.
And we spent 3 years together, and I forgot I had 2 children in Iowa.
I think you were just numbing out again.
I was.
Yeah.
And oh, did I numb out. And then I found recovery here, and was with a man that he found recovery, and I followed him in, and we found recovery together until, again, I couldn't forgive myself.
Mm.
How long were you
I
sober
could-
this time?
On and I would get a year, I would get 2 years, just on and off, on
Okay.
and off, on and off. I've spent the last 25 years on and off, on and off. I now have the longest time I've ever gone without a drink or a drug.
That's marvelous.
How long is that?
It'd be 4 years in,
Wow.
it was 4 years in April.
That's
Bravo,
good.
Bravo.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you in a
Wow.
relationship now?
I'm just coming out of one.
Oh.
Oh, so that's the time to
Another
launch yourself. Huh?
4 years, yes it is, yes it is.
Hydro.
Yeah.
No, and I want to say, I don't know that I'm coming out of it. I'm taking care of myself and allowing myself some time
Mhm.
and him some time
Mhm.
to see if things change or where, because it's just been a 4-year period of not much changing.
Oh, he isn't. Oh, yeah.
And I'm ready for change.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm tired of words.
Yeah.
I need action.
Yeah.
Ooh. So that core
I need
strength is
action.
there.
Yeah, of course.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And I need to make pretty big decisions in my world of where I want to be and where I want to go forward to.
Yeah.
I have grandchildren now, 2 beautiful girls
Yes.
in
My
Iowa.
goodness. Have you retired?
No.
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 No, I believe I'll work till the day I'm not here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a worker.
Tell us what about your drinking and what led to prison.
Well, about in 2005, and prior my grandmother passing, I really went off the deep end, and I found methamphetamine, and I could do meth, and I could drink like I always wanted to drink. I didn't fall down. I didn't wake up in the wrong places. I didn't wreck vehicles. I just put a needle in my arm every day, and with the amount of drug that would allow me to function and drink.
Mm.
Were you able to?
And I still
work?
held work and had my own place, but there was the law, and I had gotten busted, pulled over with methamphetamine, and they took my license. So I had a good job in Sedona. Anyways, long story short, I wouldn't abide by the probation, and I took myself off of their probation and until they caught me, which added to more trouble. And I was in and out of jail for about a 4-year period.
Wow.
And I ended up doing 4 months in county jail, and 2 weeks later I was busted again. And so they were done with me.
Yeah. Done.
And I believe too, there again, I had such deep fear inside of me of ever going to prison. My brother had gone to prison, and several others I'd known had gone to prison, and I thought that would just be the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And I've since known and believed that any fear we have, it'll happen.
What you focus on, you attract.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
And prison ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Wow. Now, how is that possible?
It got me away from men. It got me away from the drugs and alcohol. It gave me a chance to see that I was smart. I got to go to school there. I got to get my GED there. I was the head cook in the kitchen, which fed my self-esteem. I found another gift that I was able to run a kitchen and cook for 200 and some women. And
Wow.
I found friends in there that just, we clicked and we hung together, and we walked and talked and did everything together, and it was just like a different world, but a new world. And
yeah, had a support system.
yeah,
Yeah.
Forced
And-
on you.
yes.
Yeah.
Forced on you.
And I would
Yeah.
never want to go back, and I would never wish it on anyone, except for I have a message that I can tell them, it's not what you have in your mind of it to be. I mean, it can be any way you make it. You can, I found out you can make it as hard as you want, or you can make it as good as you want.
True.
Anything in life. I always made everything in my life hard. I think because of the lessons I had to learn.
Oh.
I was a stubborn, rebellious
Addict.
addict. And from a very young age. My grandmother used to say, you can tell Val not to do something and she'll die trying to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just who I was, and still part of me today. Somebody tells me I can't do something, I have a hard time showing
We'll
them.
have to use reverse psychology on her, right?
Right. I do that today with myself. I do that today.
That's great.
I do that today with myself.
So, through your life, there have just been so many numerous challenges in so many different areas. And yet here you sit, attractive, verbal, with a sparkle in your eye.
Yes.
Yeah, hope is alive, yes, certainly in you.
Hope is so alive.
But could you tell our listening audience what traits you would encourage them to develop, or what you found resources within yourself that you could maybe make them aware that they could, pull on to?
Well, I don't really like to give people advice.
Okay.
I believe we all have to learn our lessons in the time frame that we learn them.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell somebody my experience, strength, and hope.
Yes. Yes.
I can tell them what happened to me, what I done, and how I've gotten to where I'm at today, and it hasn't been alone.
Yeah.
There's your clue, not alone.
I couldn't do it alone, and I tried all my life to do everything alone. I didn't trust nobody, I didn't want help from nobody, and it changed when I went to prison. I had to have help.
Did you get therapy in prison?
Some, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
And then you found friendship?
But even long before that, in the program I go to, I finally had a person I could trust with everything.
Oh.
And this person helped me learn how to live. And once I trusted somebody, and she gave me hope. She taught me how to live. She took me to restaurants and plays and shopping, and I didn't know how to live.
Was she an older woman?
Just a few years older.
Just a
than
few
me.
years.
Yeah.
And it lived a whole different kind of lifestyle?
Yes.
And was introducing you into her world, I suppose.
Yes.
Was she a program person?
Yes.
Program person, I see.
Mhm.
And she mostly, and I don't want to give her all the credit, because I had to find this God that I rely on today.
Sure.
And that was a lot of my downfall. I had a couple of different people in my life, my grandmother being one that I had on a pedestal that I made my God.
Mhm.
And when they let me down,
Yeah.
I was with nothing.
Yes.
And people will let you down. And so I had to find a spirit that I know today lives in me
Mhm.
with my every breath.
Mhm. It is within you.
Yes.
You can't externally look for it. You finally
It's
learn that
inside.
lesson, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
That it is
in
within.
me.
You can fill it up with drugs, alcohol, boyfriends, money, a new car,
Right.
and it's
right.
still empty until you go within.
So I tell people just to do the inside work. That's what they told me.
Now, what
and hang
does
on.
that mean? The inside work.
Well, to become responsible for your actions, your behaviors. I could no longer blame my mom, my dad, my grandpa, my grandma. All those people that I spent all my life blaming for how
Yes.
my life looked.
Yes.
I had to finally look within myself and see where I needed to change, what I needed to do if I didn't want to live in prison. You know, I have a saying that I tell myself every day: only by the grace of God and many God-graced people, I'm alive and sober and not locked up.
That's great. That's great.
Yes.
Do you do in your lifestyle now today? Do you do any walking, painting, singing? How have you surrounded yourself with good things in your life now?
I live with an 86-year-old sober woman, and we have lots of art around us.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Filling the soul, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I clean for a lot of people, elderly people.
You
And-
clean this, you're living. That's how you make your living.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and now I've gone into caregiving, although I just lost my lady the day before yesterday.
Oh,
That's something
that's
that-
sad.
That's part of it.
It is part of it,
The
and,
transition.
and it was a blessing. She got to go in her own home and with all 4 of her children with her, and as sad as it is for me, today I don't have to stay in that sadness. I get to look at the hope
The whole.
Exactly.
and give, know that when one door closes, another door opens.
Right.
Yes.
And so you're a message of hope to those people that you interface with now.
I am.
Isn't that
I
a
try to-
nice little switch?
I try to be hopeful to all.
Yes.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, I've seen you. You're hopeful. You're just hopeful to listen to.
Thank you.
And that's the message that you give.
Mhm. It can be done. It will be done.
Yeah.
You know, and my message too is that it could always be worse.
Yes.
You know, when I look back on my life, it could have been so much worse. And I thank God every day that I am alive and well, and that I do have this. I've seen other women or other people that have gone down the road I've gone down, and you know, they're on medication or they're not in their right minds.
Yeah.
And I have to thank this power greater than myself every day that I'm pretty much in my right mind.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hope that I have a lot more to learn, but you know, I have a good mind to learn it with.
Isn't that wonderful that you survived all those years of abuse,
Yes.
coming out whole,
Yes.
mentally whole,
Yeah.
emotionally whole now?
Yes.
Yeah.
While you were in prison, were there a lot of women that got out and came back?
Oh, so many. And that was a really hard part of it to deal
Yeah.
with. You would want to get out so bad, to
Yes.
be with your family or your children or to be in life again.
Yes.
And you would see those that would get out, and then you'd see them come back, and it would just sadden you.
Well,
And it would put fear in you. You know, I
Yeah.
was so fearful. But I had a gentleman that worked in my kitchen, one of the guards, and he used to tell me, he says, Matkovich, you'll never be back. And he said, when anyone was getting out, he always said, oh, they'll be back. But the day he told me that, Matkovich, you won't be back, I held on to that.
yeah.
I held on to that. But you know, I want to say too, and I told a woman this yesterday, I still went to prison for 2.5 years. I wore orange every day for 2.5 years, and I still drank and used again.
Yeah. Well, what made you get this 4 years of sobriety that you do have?
I just found that I love me sober.
Mm.
I learned to love me.
Yes.
There's no man, there's no drug, there's no drink that I ever want to give that love to. I want to give it to me.
Oh.
I can look in the mirror and I love who I see today.
There you go.
There you go. It's an amazing life. I want to thank you so much for coming on
Thank
Hope
you.
is Alive and sharing your life with us.
Thank you. And hope is alive every day.
My name is Eve Moffitt, and my co-host, Kay Gibbs.
Yes,
We'd
indeed.
like to thank you very much, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Don't waste another moment on fools and things that keep you down. They can't or won't change, but you can. You can turn your life around.